Good morning, comic book fans! Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your no Shorty, and I'm reviewing something here which I usually wouldn't bother with. And I don't mean this to, disparage the creative team behind it. There's two absolutely brilliant people involved in it. We have Rodney Barnes, who is a fantastic artist. He's done so many things I've really appreciated in the past, and he's got a brand new Oni book coming out soon, which I'm really looking forward to. And you've got Chris Sheehan, who's the artist on Mine is a Long and Lonesome Grave, which is one of the best books I've read this year. Genuinely fantastic looking as well. But it is 30 Days of Night, the latest one, Falling Sun, or Fallen Sun? Falling Sun, I got it right the first time. Trust yourself, Shorty. The reason I wasn't too fussed is because I do genuinely steer clear of going back to the well for certain things. Like, I have loved almost every single one of the Minor Threats books, but I haven't gone and reviewed every single one of the issue 1 through it because at a certain point I'm just going through what I've already said before. And as much as I haven't really reviewed 30 Days of Night, it is culturally still a big part of the world. People still talk about it, the movie still gets views, and the fact that they keep bringing out comic books proves that it has an audience. And I was worried that, what would I have to say? What can I add to this? But I found myself reading it and still enjoying it, and realising that through a very, roundabout, circuitous train of thought, I started somewhere where I wasn't expecting much, but I ended up getting something I quite enjoyed. And it's basically down to how vampires play out in popular fiction. I think there's a whole bunch of different ways you can do this. Much like any supernatural creature, they can be put into the world where they can inhabit something else. Some of the more popular ones, when you look at vampires particularly, is the notion of class and inherited wealth and inherited power. I think Dracula and various other ones have done that very effectively. These are people who do just have that control. Bloodstained Teeth is a nice one on the idea of the emergent middle class and how the aristocracy is trying to clamp down on that one. And then you've got Ramvy's always amazing These Savage Shores, which looks at it from a colonial point of view. And better writers and better creators and reviewers than me have talked about that at length. But in the case of 30 Days of Night, my abiding memory is more that these are not entirely, but mostly mindless predators. And it takes something away from nuance at that point. You are just talking about creatures who have to feed, and the more likely way to think of that would be zombie. And when I had that in my head, I went back and rethought about 30 Days of Night, which again, I have seen a couple of times, but not recently. And I was trying to remember if there's anything else other than, the sunshine thing, and how hard they are to kill, that really separate them from zombies. And yes, they are slightly more intelligent, but they are also still just bloodthirsty creatures of the night, out there to feed, and without much else to say about it, they become a bit of a blank in a different way. Because zombies can also exist in the world to look at various things. Famously in movies, capitalism and racism get mentioned quite a lot, and even consumerism and the idea of wage slavery and all that kind of thing. There's an awful lot of things you can do with it. But I was like, well, with 30 Days of Night, they are just more the brutal kind of invader. And that is also something people have done with regard to vampires. I don't particularly like that as a take on them. I feel it falls into a dangerous kind of idea of racism, that anything from the outside is inherently dangerous when it tries to get in. It's going to do it by taking over, it's going to do it by being violent. And I didn't think that Rodney Barnes would go that route. I honestly went in with expectations there, and that might be on me. But then I started reading this particular comic book, which is kind of why we're here, and realised there's actually quite a lot of lore added to it. And I say added to it, I'm not really engaged with the wider canon of 30 Days of Night, so I don't know how much of what I'm reading here is calling back to other things or brand new creative endeavours. But for me, it's the first time I'm experiencing the level of lore and how the vampires actually operate within this world. And it was very nice to see that we were getting more of that. Yes, Sheehan is brilliant at doing violent artwork, and it looks brilliant when he does it. There's this very nice thing when you're talking about the 30 Days of Night thing, where the light and shadow interplay has to be really, really effective. You have an awful lot of artificial light and deep shadow, so there's going to be a lot of highlighting going into depth very, very quickly. And he does it brilliantly, and again, the violence is spectacular. But because Barnes is going in talking about who these vampires are, why they're doing what they're doing, he's throwing a bit more motivation instead of just, well, it's 30 Days of Night. Surely that's what vampires would be cool doing. Let's go murder a bunch of people there because we don't have to worry about sunlight. He's putting effort into it, and it really did work for me. It made me actually want to find out more about these vampires. It made me care about the shared universe of these movies and these stories for the first time, I think, ever, rather than just engaging with it as a goregasm funny movie, a very, very dark comic book. Honestly, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, and that's with knowing that two fantastic creators were involved. That's with me today, though. Until I see you all again, look after yourself, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!